Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. You're watching Sikh channel today with Stinder Kaur. Today we are filming in Newcastle upon Tyne, beautiful, beautiful Newcastle upon Tyne, which is in the northeast of England. Today we'll be interviewing Cloud Singh. I like to call him Bhai Sahib Cloud Singh, but he doesn't like to be called that. He's called Cloud Singh, and he'll be talking today about the NorthEast SikhService. He is taking the lead role in this organisation, which has been started in Newcastle upon Tyne, and it has grew now to the northeast of England. There's a high demand for this service, so he'll be telling us a little bit more about that today. So, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, Benji.
So, Cloud Singh,
Anji.
I know how you came into Sikhi.
And
everyone watching, before they want to know about NorthEast SikhService,
of course they do.
They want to know about why a white Gora Sikh.
Why does God a Sikh?
Why is he wearing the star and his sponge card?
Sure.
So, would you like to tell us how you came into Sikhi?
I'm always very happy to tell that story. Yes. Sometimes it's a very long story, sometimes it's a very short story. Today it's a short story. When I was growing up in my teens, I had a great desire to find out why people did what they did. Why do those group of people do that? Why don't they? And I always had a generalised sense of the existence of God. Waheguru, as is the right word now. I always had a generalised sense of Waheguru around, but no inside understanding.
Yeah.
No experiencing. It was always words off a page. And I was spending a lot of time looking around at faith and seeing who did what, why they did it, how it felt to them, whether their practice was close to what they were aiming to do, or whether it was too wide. And I spent a lot of years doing that. And I came to Newcastle Gurdwara, which is now the old building, back end of '97. I came because I'm a motorcyclist, and I discovered that if you wear dastar you don't have to wear a safety helmet. So I came to find out what you had to do to wear a dastar, which is an awful reason to come to any faith door. But the door was open and I walked in, and I discovered a place unlike any other I had ever come into. Completely different. There was a warmth and a generosity and a compassion for every single human being, regardless of who they were, what colour their skin was, what language they spoke, what gender they were. None of that was no consequence at all. It was hello, how are you? And I'd never experienced that before, and it stuck, and it was like, wow, what is going on here that I've never experienced in any of these other places? And then I go around for a few years to find out what actually was going on. And when I got the hang of how it was going on, I did the most difficult thing, I think, for people, which is I had to look seriously at me and find out who I was and what the world meant to me and my relationship with God, and how was I going to manifest that in my everyday life.
I think that's such an important part of Sikhi that can sometimes be, now we've discussed this before,
sure.
which kind of like you sway away from.
Yes.
Looking at yourself and your relationship with the Guru.
Very much.
You had to actually look at yourself.
Yes.
And what were you looking at exactly? Were you looking at, can you do this?
The first part of that search for me was I sort of understood what Guru was saying and the outline of the path that Guru gives us in order to get closer to Waheguru, and the role and purpose of Gurus generally and all that stuff. When I started to look at myself, all that stuff that I'd been brought up with, societal expectations, messages from society about how I should be as a man, how I should be as a white man, how I should behave, what I should want, that I should want the expensive car, that I should want the expensive house, that I should want the trophy wife, all of that stuff. And I had to look at that and say, is that mine? Do I actually want that? Or is there something inside me that says I want something different, or I should be doing something different, or I would be more complete and whole and content as a human being doing something different? Do I have to be nasty in my business? Do I have to be arrogant and displaying that macho stuff? Or is there another way of doing this life? And what I ended up with was looking at myself and realising that I was different inside to what my society was asking me to display. And it became, when I see myself as who I am, I discover that there are deep areas of me which are compassionate and loving and caring and wanting to assist people and to put myself second in many situations. And then when I compared that with what the Guru's path is, it happens to be very close indeed. And the difference is not the Guru, the difference is my fault, that I can't match that.
Yeah.
But I aspire to that, and I want to do that.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then I'm a Sikh. I want the Guru's path, I want to be in that, I want to do that, I want to try, I want to make the effort.
Then from there the journey began.
That's the starting point, clearly. My relationship with my God through my Guru is my faith. That's my starting point. The path began, and then I sort of had to work out what sort of a Sikh am I. Do I turn up on a Sunday and take some langar, have the occasional nod to Guru and then nash off home again? or where am I on that scale? Or am I this ultra solid, this is all I talk about thing, which is beautiful as well, but where am I? Where is my relationship in this? What am I meant to be doing here? And I find that, like most people who take a new religion, to take Amrit was where I needed to be. I needed to show Guru's Roop. I needed to demonstrate on the outside as well as know on the inside that I'm Sikhi.
Yeah.
And then I know I'm not such a good Amrit Sikh. So every day I try and every day I struggle to do better. And that's never going to end. And I like the journey.
So we have a few questions for you.
Yay!
And I know you like to talk.
I so like to talk.
So, how did Northeast Sikh Services come about?
About 6 or 7 years ago, the local people, especially schools, were wanting to come to the Gurdwara to show their pupils about Sikhism. And the teachers didn't know very much, and the pupils knew very little indeed. And when a few came, a few more wanted to come, and more wanted to come. And it was wonderful and delightful, and always savour. There was always savour downs to do it. And it wasn't that it wasn't being done, it's just that it wasn't being done in a way that the schools could understand it, in terms of the organisation.
Could you give me an example? What do you mean that it wasn't being done in the way the schools that could understand it?
Yes. Schools are English and white, and there's a formality of introduction, there's a formality of how things are organised that happens in schools that doesn't happen in the Gurdwara, because they're two different organisations with two different sets of people.
Yeah.
Schools, I'm clear, are better with one point of contact, one person's name, and clarity. That some schools take a lot of time and effort in order to get school children out of schools and into somewhere. They put an awful lot of work in, and it costs them money that they can't afford. Lots of information backwards and forwards from parents. Some parents don't want it to happen. It takes an awful lot of effort, and they need reassurance in some way that when they get to where they're going, somebody will be there.
Yeah.
And part of that reassurance comes from one telephone number, one email address, one person's name. And they find that reassuring. And the more people are reassured, the more they turn up.
Yeah. Do you feel like it makes a difference that you don't look like the typical a brown Sikh?
got it in the room.
Got
Of course. It doesn't make a difference because my skin isn't brown. I think it makes a difference because those people who run the Gurdwaras are from Punjabi Indian culture.
Yeah.
And the people that are coming to the Gurdwaras to find out about it are coming from white English culture.
Yeah.
And the two things are different in how they're applied. And there are different meanings to the words. And I am fortunate, and I truly believe I'm blessed by Guru, that I have some understanding of both. So part of what I see that I do is behave as a bridge, a sturdy bridge. An example is, We all know in Gurdwara the telephone rings, anyone can pick it up. And if a school rings and a teacher says, can we come to the Gurdwara on Monday? The obvious answer from the Sikhi point of view is yes, because obviously you can. That's not what the school's asking. The school is asking, can we bring these pupils? Will there be somebody there? Is there someone there to tell us about Sikhi? And all of that stuff.
And is it safe?
And is it safe? And is there a risk assessment? And all of that. But the person who's picked the phone up doesn't understand all of that necessarily. And so the teacher turns up with all the kids and there's no one there of a named person to help them, to host them. The school's disappointed by that. The person who's taking the phone call doesn't understand any of that disappointment. And it's not because anyone's not willing, or it's not because anyone isn't trying. It's just because there's a difference of culture that's not understood.
And I guess it's probably took you a while to understand that as well. So that's why you understand on behalf of the schools.
Yes.
When you were coming into Sikhi, you probably thought,
so
this is
frustrating.
Different.
So frustrating. So frustrating. Because I am white English, because I come from that idea of rules, regulations, rotas, someone's got to be responsible, everything's written down. And in Sikhi, in the Gurdwaras, it is not like that. For very good reason, and it shouldn't be like that. It's a different place. It's Guru's home.
Yes.
And it's a home. And people are coming along to see Guru in Guru's home and to be told about Guru and to try and understand some of that and to experience it. That isn't a place for rules and regulations. But there has to be a middle ground or someone in the middle or something to bridge between the two.
Yeah.
So that there can be an understanding there.
No, sure. So you were saying that NorthEast SikhServices has been up and running, not officially, but it has been up and running for like the last 6 or 7 years, would you say?
Yeah. It started as a pilot project, which had a different name. It was the Waheguru project.
All right.
And that was done through Save It Again. And now it's different.
So have you found in the last 6 or 7 years, well, why is it that people who don't know anything about Sikhi want to know about Sikhi?
Want to know about it.
I mean, you've got 6 or 7 years of experience now, so.
Sure. I've got a feeling that they always did. But another position which I think has some value is Sikhs by nature are quiet. Sikhs by nature are humble. Sikhs don't stand up and shout about themselves. That's not what the Sikh life is about. Sikh life is about devotion to Guru. Getting up early, going to work, having a family life, doing the spiritual, religious aspect of it, and then going to bed and getting up again early tomorrow. And that's the Sikh life. And although Sikhs have clearly been known for hundreds of years across the world, but especially because of the British Empire and all of that stuff that's going on, everybody who isn't a Sikh sort of knows what a Sikh is, or knows of Sikhs. Maybe
in a cultural aspect more than
rather
the religious,
than a faith way, absolutely. And all of a sudden it's like, no, hang on, what do they actually do then? These people are hanging around and they've been hanging around, and every time I come across a Sikh, they're sweet and they're loving and caring and compassionate all the time, but they don't actually tell us what they do, and we don't necessarily want to ask because it might be offensive, or we're not sure the right words to say, or any of that stuff.
Sure.
And when someone says, actually, if you want to know, over here, they do that. Oh, yes. Yes. But Sikhs don't do that. We're not that way inclined. We're generally much gentler. So people understand that Sikhs are around, but not the detail of what we do and how we are and how we see Waheguru as different to other faiths and all of that sort of stuff.
I know that you have spoke about it before. You've said that I will go anywhere where my Guru will go.
Absolutely.
And there's nowhere that you don't feel that Sikhs shouldn't go.
No.
And then do you feel like just by your presence alone they will ask you about Sikhi or what is it that you do or any? Do you feel that?
Yes. I heard a thing which comes from the Christian tradition, and it's a little cliche, and I think it's right. And partly what it says is, don't tell people about your faith live it in such a way that they want to ask.
Yeah.
And for Sikhs, we have the Midi Pidi.
Yeah.
We have to live in the world. That's part of what that's saying. And so when I'm living in the world, I want to keep my head up, I want to keep my eyes open, I want to interact with people, I want to say hello. And when someone smiles at you, you feel genuine warmth towards them.
Yeah.
And then when I talk with people and when I say hello, and they understand that I'm a relatively nice chap type of thing, then they sidle over and do that. Do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
When they've distinguished that you're not an alien.
When I'm not an alien, absolutely. And I speak English and all of those other things that people have problems with.
Yeah.
They don't know how to deal with it in a social way.
Yeah.
And as soon as that barrier is broken, they're intrigued. And they really are intrigued. It's like, why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why have you got that faith? What's that about? What's this about? On a very, just a personal day-to-day level.
Yeah.
Yes, who I am is who I am, and I wear Guru's roop to show Guru. It's not about me. It's about showing my faith, showing my Guru to the world.
Yeah.
And if other people want to hear about that, I have a responsibility, I think, to attempt to answer them as best as I can.
Something interesting that I'd seen on your Facebook page, the NorthEast SikhService, was that you'd gone to sit on a panel for the LGBT... Is it a seminar?
Yes.
So, could you tell us a little bit more about that? Because it is quite interesting, because I don't think I've seen any other similar organisation go to anything like that before.
Sure.
And how was it there and
all of that stuff? Yeah, sure. It was for St John's University York.
Yeah.
And they hold a month-long programme for LGBT+, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual and transsexual, and others that come under that title as well.
Yeah.
And this year, one of the events that they had during that month was to have a panel of people of faith.
Yeah.
To describe their personal experiences within their faith and their position within the faith, rather than tell people about the faith, their position within the faith, and for there to be a series of questions like question time, and for questions from the audience. And there are all the other major faiths turn up, and there's no Sikh there, and it's like, why is there no Sikh there? Do we not have a position on this? Is that not somewhere we should be talking about?
Do you think maybe it's a bit of a grey area or a scary subject? I mean, did they try and contact any other Sikh?
They tell me that they tried to contact the Sikhs of the area and another organisation from another part. Yeah. But those people were unable to attend.
Right.
I have no understanding of why.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to say they didn't want to attend because of the subject matter.
Of course.
It's just I'm sure they just couldn't attend on that time.
Yeah.
But if someone's asking for a Sikh position, then I should do the best I can.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that my position of my faith isn't the same as every other Sikh's.
Yeah.
And there's a broad spectrum of understanding of what it is to be lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender. And it's a topic that isn't openly discussed with it. Not that I would know. I don't speak Punjabi. The conversations that go on in the Gurdwara are predominantly in Punjabi. I speak with Sikh youth.
Yeah.
It's not a topic that's discussed particularly openly and I was saying to the chair of the organisation, I was looking for the conspiracy of silence.
Yeah.
It's not discussed because it's taboo.
Yeah.
I don't think it's taboo. It's just not of any interest. I'm sure there are people watching this who will tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
And I look forward to hearing about that very much. It's a fascinating subject.
So how did it go?
Thank you. It went well. Yeah. Nice panel, lovely people. Some of the panellists from some of the faiths, I'm sure, felt defensive to begin with. It was almost like they were there to get a beating. And actually, it didn't turn out that way at all. The audience were there to listen carefully and to ask carefully considered questions of the faith. And some people were very open about what they were doing and what they were saying. And for them, this is my scripture, this is how it is. For us, end of. And I was so delighted to hear that truthfulness from them and that ability to clearly state how their faith was for them, regardless of how other people would respond to that.
Yeah.
This is my faith, this is my faith. great. Whether I agree with that or not is an entirely different thing.
Yeah.
But that's their faith, and it's to be respected. And most of the faiths had a good position. After a while, they settled down and got a bit okay with it.
Yeah.
Lots of topics going on. I had my own position on it that was radically different from the others.
Yeah.
Because Sikhi is a radically different faith. It's a faith of devotion rather than a faith of rules. And I don't think many of the audience have come across that way of seeing Waheguru before.
No.
And there was a lot of, really? Is that really? And it's like, yes. Yeah. And it was fabulous, and it worked well, and we all shook hands in the end, and it was great.
And everyone was happy.
Not sure about that. Not sure about that.
You tried.
We were all respectful to each other.
Yeah.
And that's the very least that we can ask in today's society, is that all people of faiths and other cultures are respectful to each other. That's not much to ask, surely.
No, sure. I know I'm definitely aware. And maybe some of people watching this may not be aware, but in the northeast of England, we don't have a massive Sikh population compared to, say, Birmingham and London,
absolutely.
even Leeds.
Sure.
So I know we have come across some of issues have cropped up, like Gurra, some children who have had problems wearing the Gurra at school.
Sure.
Even with gays, we've had some people having problems with gays.
Sure.
How would NorthEast SikhServices tackle a problem like that? I know you have worked with one case with the Gurra.
Yeah, sure.
So do you feel like NorthEast SikhService is something that would fiercely defend that or help?
I'm very clear that those sorts of issues belong to the Sangat.
Right.
And for the NorthEast Sikh Service to simply say, we're going to deal with that, is not appropriate.
Yeah.
That's a very white English way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
And this isn't white English, this is Sikhi, which is an entirely different thing.
Yeah.
I think I would attempt to do it in the same way that it was done last time, which is, this is a Sikh issue across the Northeast. And so all those community leaders, for want of a better expression, they all need to be told this is going on.
Yeah.
And they all need to be listened to, and they all need their position discussed. And we need to come to an understanding that this isn't okay, and a way of dealing with that as a group, but with one spokesperson. So that then there's no cross-communication, there's no trouble. There's one person speaks for us, a trusted person who can deal with this, who will always refer back to the community over every decision, over every information flow, so that everyone's fully informed all the time about what's going on, when it's going on. And then the people who are having the issue, who don't understand, they're not going to be flooded with information. They're not going to have 17 different people ringing them up every day. Because they don't have the time to do that. One person is sufficient, who is trusted by the community. That's a good way forward. And unfortunately, it went a little beyond that, because the people that we were dealing with last time perhaps dug their heels in a little, which was a great shame. And essentially then it was, the community has to stand up and have a community voice. This isn't one person speaking, this is the community. And now here is this one email that you need to send your personal point of view to. Please, the whole community, email this. And then these people will understand the strength of feeling about what's going on as well. And it
really worked.
Extremely well.
From what I hear, I remember the school head teacher then called, I think it was a board of governors meeting, so they could reassess their school uniform rules. And all so it was successful, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
It was very successful.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think, obviously with NorthEast SikhServices, you have a lot of schools now that come into the Gurdwara side. That helps, doesn't it?
Yes.
It gets out the information of what a Gurra is, the Gakar, if other kids are wearing their bunch of Gurra. I know there is a couple of children who are wanting to wear their city serve. So I think
sure.
So the NorthEast SikhServices really tackles that as well, subliminally, when they're coming to the Gurdwara side and they're getting more information.
Sure. What's
the most interesting situation or something that's happened that's made you think, wow, I'm so happy that I am involved in this? I'm sure you have, because you meet so many kids.
Oh, I meet so many kids.
Is there anything that stands out?
It's more a generalised thing than a specific thing. When groups of young children, 8, 9, 10, come to the Gurdwara, and they walk in, and they've taken their shoes off, covered their heads, washed their hands, and they're just about to go into the next room, the noise starts from them, this excited babble, and the teachers almost automatically go, shh. And I have to say, no, this isn't that type of building. And the kids, all of a sudden, they come alive. And they're very respectful, and they're very lovely, and they understand the social process, but just the joy that comes off them of being in a place that lets them be who they are. And when they need to be quiet to listen to someone talking, they're quiet. And when they're a little freer, there's this general laughter and joy of being in a place. And
which is how they should feel, going into the house of the Guru.
I think so. This is my Guru's home.
Yeah.
This is my Guru's home. This isn't a church or a synagogue or a cathedral or any of those buildings which has this quiet hush to it. This is a home, the home of my Guru. Why shouldn't children be happy? Surely that's what children do best.
Yeah.
Whilst learning. Slip the learning in behind that, and they take it all away and they understand. With this overlay of happiness, that's what they're going to take away. And I just love the idea that children go away having had a good time with big smiles on their faces. It's great. Love it.
So there's your final question now. What message would you give to other Gurdwaras or other similar organisations or anyone who is actually doing this, even having schools coming in or they're going out visiting? Is there any, not advice as such, but is there anything you'd like to say to them? Or Sangat in general?
Or Sangat in general?
Yeah.
Yes. The first thing I would say is, clearly, please do not underestimate your faith. Sikhi has worth and value and is beautiful. And you think other people know that, and they do not. Some people come to the Gurdwara and they pick up the little piece of triangular cloth.
The rumal.
And they do not know how to put it on their heads. And I say that to say that's how little they know.
Yeah.
They know nothing. Do not underestimate your faith. It is beautiful. And when they start to hear about it, they want more and more and more. They want to know. Find a way of saying, hello, if you want, over here. In the Northeast, with Northeast SikhService, we do it this way. And if anyone wants to hear about that, how it's organised, why it's organised in that way, the benefits of it, the pitfalls of it, please just get in touch. So pleased to talk with anybody about any of this. Happy to help. Or go and do it your own way. But please do it. Just do it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So today we were talking to Cloud Singh from the NorthEast Sikh Service. It's something that the Sikhs from the Northeast have started because they really felt a need that the prachar that is being done in different cities, it suits that city because there's not many Sikhs in the Northeast and it is a different demographic altogether. That is why NorthEast Sikh Service are doing this particular style of prachar. That's why Cloud Singh was saying that if you'd like to know about the way that NorthEast Sikh Service organises and how they go about doing the seva, then please do get in touch. And to everyone from the Northeast who is listening, Sadhuveer, our brother and sisters, if you are having any problems or anyone you know are having any problems in schools or universities or colleges, anywhere, please do get in touch. Or if you want Cloud Singh or the NorthEast Sikh Service to help you in any way, or go to your university or do a talk, please do get in touch. On our Facebook, which is NorthEast Sikh Service, or you can follow us on Twitter, and there'll also be a phone number at the bottom that you can contact as well. Thank you very much. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.